My involvement in the endeavor of the Blue Shield and its foundation started around 1991, when there was the collapse of former Yugoslavia. The situation was very bad from on humanitarian base, but also on heritage concern. There were a number of events that took place, and in my case, we've had an ICOMOS Canada conference in Ottawa on the issue of heritage and the environment. And as part of the AGM discussion, there was a concern expressed about the fate of heritage in what is now former Yugoslavia. In those days, it was still Yugoslavia from an international judiciary point of view. And I was asked as the secretary of the organization to express concern of the members and availability to help if anything was useful. That was the ICOMOS Canada conference. So I communicated with UNESCO and I expressed that. And in the end, I was invited in January 1992 to take a plane to go to Dubrovnik on the mission that would go to assess damage after the bombing that took place on early December that year. Early December 1991, in 6th of December. So in 1992, there was the mission to Dubrovnik, and following that, ICOMOS Secretary General Herb Stovall, also a Canadian, helped set up a discussion table between ICOMOS, UNESCO, and other partners, including ICOM, which was, of course, very important because of the presence of museum on all these territories that were affected. And eventually, the notion of archives became very important as well. I was greatly privileged to share the experience as somebody who was on the field, because it could be very easy in Paris or London or New York to start talking about what should be done. But when you have your feet in the ground in a besieged heritage city, and you have to deal with painting in the church and with archives in the various deposits inside the town, and how you deal with the university center, which has been burned through bombing and something, you realize that you have to introduce in the discussion concern for how you can send people on the ground, what are the elements you can do about it, so that they don't return in body bags, but they actually can come and develop a professional capacity. One of the big lesson I got from being in the field is to understand the players, and in particular, it was very helpful to talk to some French and Irish blue helmet from the UN forces that were present, because they had an experience which, as heritage professional, we don't have. Our intent originally was not to create an organization, it was to create a covenant. It was to create an alliance, so that the heritage sector can show its capacity to work together rather than compete with each other. So in the end, there were family things happening in there, and the great catalyst of the Blue Shield was really Charles Keskemetti from ICA, the executive director of the International Council of Archive, it just passed away some months ago, because it brought us to look at beyond that family story at the whole sector in a broader way. And so to create another organization was not the purpose as much as to reinforce the sector. It was pretty loose. I wouldn't say loose in a sense of erratic or inconsistent, but there was a kind of a trust. This was a movement for a better world. It's not sort of structuring this in a mechanical way. So we didn't have sort of people on our shoulder always watching for us. But I was a board member, so there was regular reporting on this. And following the creation of the Blue Shield, ICOMOS set up its own International Committee on Risk Preparedness, ICORP, that was approved in 1997 at the Rabat meeting of the advisory committee, and mostly the executive committee in those days. And so we were ourselves developing thing. In ICOM, they had already something in the archive, so we thought it would be good that we have a platform within the organization so that can establish a connection. And whether you have an agreement at the, let's say, the higher management of the organization, the deciding body and so on, you need still a professional connection, because we are a professional organization. I mean, we have to deal with politics, but we have to deliver professionalism. The fact that it's still there, that it's active, for me, it's a great progress, because we tend to forget that things can disappear. Great idea can go in the wind. So that's already something I feel I'm quite happy I contribute. I'm concerned that Blue Shield, like other organizations, ICOMOS is suffering from that also, is becoming sort of inhabited by procedure and management. So the spirit of doing good is dominated by procedures and politics. I mean, we can blame the politicians for doing politics, but that's their job somehow. I mean, they can be ridiculous. We can laugh at them. They're being cartooned and so on, and they can create disaster. But somehow we should be wiser. And for me, there's a number of motto that have been guiding me, and one is from François Rabelais, from the Renaissance, Pantagruel, I think, and it's science sans conscience n'est que ruine de l'âme. Science without a conscience is the ruin of the soul. And somehow our core mission has to deal with the soul. So we have to be careful about that. For me, the value of the Blue Shield is in the collaboration, because that is where the 21st century will find solution or find its fate. Are we able to work together? Where you see all the young professionals are developing all this interdisciplinary workspace. The cloud is full of evil, but it's also full of angel, and these angels are working together. So, for me, I find in their a source of value in the covenant I was referring to, which was the source of the Blue Shield. For me, the one of the great benefit of the Blue Shield, but also we had it in Quebec when we set up the Forum Québécois du Patrimoine, was to unite the various clans, because we realized that the heritage sector needs to have some weight, because eventually it will have to make the case for society to assign resources. The idea of the Blue Shield is much broader than, sending some people to, I don't know, Azerbaijan right now or Armenia, which has to be done. But and it's not the heritage conservator of all country unite either. It's something. let's not be jokey about this. It's that we learned that heritage is a spectrum. It's a range. There's continuity. You need archive to understand a building. You need a collection to explain a city or a landscape. And you find that all these things are interrelated. There's museum in historic towns or in historic buildings, and people live in all these, and somehow it's our connection to the life of the community, which is, if you read the World Heritage Convention Article 5A, it's so luminous. It's encouraging member state to adopt a policy that give a life to heritage, in a function to heritage in the life of the community. Isn't that a wonderful? I mean, it's a bit functionalist, but somehow it's very spirited. It's very engaged and integrate its protection in planning programs. I think I'm a bit antiquated in that, but I love to do sketches and watercolor. And I think if we could replace part of our overuse of the word management with sketching and caring more, and that's where a wonderful word is care. And if we manage less and care more, I think we would help better humanity and our village.